Alrighty, welcome back everyone. It is LaughNgamez here. I'm back with something exciting here today. It's going to be another Starcraft 2 video, but not a 1 versus 1. We are going to be having a 3 versus 3, which should have a crazy amount of action here today, as we've got some very good European players and a bunch of spam pinging going down. By golly. As it's a 3v3, that's not too surprising. The teams have to communicate amongst each other, amongst themselves. And so we have got team number 1, I guess we'll call it. It's going to be Iba, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, Jummy, or Jimmy, he's also known as, and Kukut. I hope I'm pronouncing that one right as well. These are players that I haven't cast too much of, or at all, really. And they're going to be taking on a team of some more well-known players. It is Spirit, MaxPax, and Gerald. So we've got 2 Protoss and a Terran going to be taking on a Zerg and 2 Protoss. So 2 TOS on each team. We're on the map Lost July. Ladies and gentlemen, if you enjoy this crazy 3v3 action, make sure to go ahead and click that like button if you haven't already. And yeah, if you leave a comment down below saying more 3v3s. I'm just adjusted the sound down a little bit there so the pings and stuff aren't so loud. And also, as far as casting these 3v3s goes, if you'd prefer, because I do them every now and then, let me know whether you prefer having all the players as one color, like I've got in the settings right now. I've got the blue team, everyone's blue, or I can have everyone on their individual color so it's easier to distinguish. I know that it's easier on the eyes having them all be the same color, but then it's harder to distinguish what's going on each team. Now, as far as the production tab goes, we've got quite a few Nexus building, every Protoss expanding. The Zerg has also got up its natural base, whereas Spirit, on the other hand, is just going for, well, I say one base, a later expansion than the other players. And so no crazy rushes or anything going down like this, although I'm sure there's going to be some aggression starting fairly soon, and it looks like Kukut is going to be really leaning into that a little bit with a proxy gateway. I'm kind of curious what this gateway is going to be used for, maybe just warping in adepts or a heavier pressure, as there is a few lings on the way for Iba, and that is going to potentially be a nice buffer. There's pinging just going down all over the place. I might have to see if I can disable those somehow when observing these games. Now, we do have the Lings trying to close in on an adept of MaxPax, which has made it into the main base of the blue team, but it didn't really get too much done there. And I guess that it is easier if I have the colors set. So then it's kind of easier to tell like which adept is whose. As we do have another adept, this one coming in for MaxPax again. I believe it shades on out of there to safety though. And then a single adept is being chased down by a stalker, so the Protoss players are poking each other. Now, Iba has invested in quite a large number of lings for this stage in the game, 26, and more being added on, so all of a sudden this hidden gateway makes sense. It looks like the northern team has seen this gateway, so they know that aggression is coming their way. Spirit's trying to build a bunker, adepts are shading on in. There's double batteries for MaxPax, one done, one building, even a stasis ward. That does catch 2 adepts, but what? Those adepts, they shaded at the last second to bait out that stasis ward. It looked like they were caught. Now Iba comes on in with the Lings, trying to grab some of MaxPax's workers, and is actually going to get a few, forcing them to retreat to the main base. Spirit does have Hellions, which are good against the Lings, but not so good against the Stalkers, so this is where teamwork really comes on in. The orange Zerg is flooding more units across the map, as it really is mainly the blue and the orange Zerg putting the pressure on. Looks like Kukut is dealing with some harassment on his side of the map, so not necessarily warping in, or pardon me, Jummy not necessarily warping on in. What's Jummy investing in? Looks like, yeah, I mean, he is joining the push, but he's got a 3rd Nexus on the way, which is why he's not pushing as hard. He's only got 4 Stalkers. Now, the attack forward has seemingly been delayed by the northern team, but they have taken quite a bit of damage. I mean, MaxPax had some mining disrupted. Spirit's only really mining on one base right now. I can pull up that worker count, and yeah, Spirit is on the lowest amount of workers, so the Terran player got bullied a little bit there. We've got pings going all over the place, as DTs are actually now harassing. I believe that's Gerald with the DTs, of course, having the Dark Shrine to make that possible, so he does get some work done. And that's kind of the nice thing about going for DTs, as we're seeing right now in a 3v3, is there's a lot more potential to get damage done, because there's a lot more bases, a lot more potential openings for the DTs. Of course, there's more players can have detection, but it's not like there's a Terran on their team that can just drop a scan, so I like the choice of DTs from Gerald. Marines for Spirit are stimming and catching a lot of Cuckoo's stalkers. Cuckoo didn't have blink, so there was no escape for them there, so that is quite a nice find. Meanwhile, Lings are harassing MaxPax's base once again. Battery overcharge to try and save a stalker to heal some of these units up. Lots of those Lings, in fact, pretty much all of them do go down on the way out, so that was a rather large commitment from the southern team. And they didn't get too much done in that second wave. The first wave definitely did get some good damage done, but the second one, not so much. Now, looks like Gerald is moving out on the map. Going to be cleaning up this proxy gateway that caused so much trouble for them. eBay is expanding towards the north. Meanwhile, there is Gerald's hidden Dark Shrine hanging out there. And then just Blink on the way for Gerald. Looks like MaxPax is going to be working on Jummy's hidden gateway. There's just so much stuff that goes on in these 3v3s. It really is difficult to keep track of it. And now the Zerg player is still just making Lings, which makes me a little bit concerned. No further tech, just Lings. I mean, they're good units, but they're not amazing in every circumstance. Now, a DTs for Gerald do force a cancel on another Zerg hatchery. There's a cannon set up at this base, going to allow that DT to be caught. Meanwhile, another one's down there. The pings are actually kind of helpful, pointing towards where the action is for me, as the players are saying, hey, help me, team, help me. As Gerald's now looking to push on in with support of MaxPax. Spirit has some Marines and tanks out on the map, but he's not going on in with his teammates. Looks like MaxPax is just going to try his luck to push on in, get what he can done. MaxPax is very good stalker micro, but he doesn't actually get much done there. Both players, I believe, do have blink at this point. Actually, no. Cuckoo does not have blink. He's just halfway done researching it. Lings are coming forward for Eba to try and support with this. He is getting a wraparound on the stalkers. I was wondering whether there's enough Lings, but all of a sudden a lot more do come forward. There is 2 Void Rays for MaxPax, which are doing some good damage. But once the stalkers get on top of them, they do fall rather quickly. Looks like Gerald had to retreat, or actually just, yeah, I believe he recalled a lot of his units. And then MaxPax, yeah, he just got pushed back. So a good defense. The Lings did fill the role of punishing the stalkers. Now looks like Gerald is looking to push on towards the left, so trying to outposition the opposing team. The Lings can reposition very quickly, though there is an Archon in Spirit bringing his Marines to help with this. It's important they shut down these bases, as this is quite a few bases for the opposing team. Archons and Stalkers moving forward. There's so many Lings. They really have to respect that one Archon. We'll see if his teammates target down that Archon, so it's not a threat to the Lings. Spirit actually just evacuates out. And Gerald, I believe, already used his recall, so actually going to lose most of his stuff. Now there's a big counterattack going on. Cuckoo's coming on in as well. Where is MaxPax to support? Here he comes in with his own Stalkers, but man, oh man, that is a lot of Protoss and Zerg surging towards the opposing team. Spirit's got Marines and tanks coming in to help, but economic damage is certainly getting done. Even a Nexus going on down, a command center burning down. That's going to knock Spirit down to 2 bases. It's going to deny MaxPax's further expansion. Units lost. Doesn't actually pull up the exact units lost. It just pulls up the resources lost. So I can't exactly see every single unit or base that died. The joys of 3v3 observing are just pure chaos. But that was quite a nice attack for the blue team. As we put them back to blue mode, we can kind of get more of a view of what's going on. Lets me easily see that MaxPax has a prism out on the map, so gonna look for some counter damage. That's what you gotta do. In StarCraft 2, when you're behind, we've got a sensor tower and a turret going up for Spirit. Definitely giving more of a warning when that attack is coming on in. I am concerned for the red team, though, as they simply have much fewer bases I mean, look at this. Eba is on, what's that, 5, 6 bases or something like that. MaxPax is looking to harass with this Prism. 2 Zealots being unloaded, and we'll see if he can get anything more done as he warps in many, many Zealots. This could pull the attention from Kukut back, as Kukut is actually one of the players with lower supply in the game. Only Geralt has lower supply, so that is good damage getting done to a player that can't really afford to take that much damage. Looks like Kukut is responding to this attack, a recall as well, and Spirit's out on the map with lots of his Marines. A blink forward is going to chase that Medivac away. Spirit does escape, actually, with a couple of those Medivacs. In comes MaxPax to try and save the day. Lots of Zealots and Stalkers. The Zealots will help against the Lings, but man, oh man, Eba has got so many Lings out. 93, and they're so fast they can zoom across the map to dart between fights, so I really like that. We've got Spirit going for another drop with these units. Meanwhile, MaxPax is being a nuisance with his Prism, although it's almost dead. Lings are running all over the place. Psystorm for MaxPax is a great answer to the Mass Lings. And that's how Mass Lings do fall off, so we may need to see Banelings or something, although it is actually Ultras on the way for eBay. eBay with 64 workers, lots of hatcheries, and is getting 3-2 upgrades. Does he already have Cracklings? No, he doesn't. I'd love to see that research soon. It is hard to pay attention to what each individual player is doing. MaxPax is now pushing, looking to bully Kukut. However, Lings are going for a wraparound, forcing the High Templar to dump Psystorms in. Man, oh man, do they dump lots of Psystorms, so a good fight. Meanwhile, Spirit and Geralt are pushing on the left, so it's kind of like a 2v2 and a 1v1, although Eba's more of a floater trying to help out his teammates. He realizes he can't really help Kukut, so he goes towards the north. Maybe a bit of indecision from these teams. The Lings definitely could help against all these Marines, and definitely will help against all the Stalkers of Geralt. Spirit does have Ghosts, he's got tanks, and looks like the Lings are going for a wraparound though, so the tanks may get surrounded and killed. Psystorm is getting dropped. I believe that's actually Psystorm from Jimmy there. And yeah, looks like the army of Spirit gets forced away after eating some storms. Geralt has to retreat as well. I believe that was that another recall from Geralt? Man, the guy doesn't like to walk his units. He just pulls that trigger and gets on out of there. MaxPax is at least getting some good damage done on the other side of the map. He's knocked the blue Protoss down to 2 bases, but now Jimmy and Eba are looking to get some counter damage done, although Eba has lost most of his Lings. He's got a few Ultras on the way. He's got chitinous plating on the way as well, and very, very good upgrades, as it's actually +2 for every Protoss, armor for Jimmy. So the 3-2 will be quite a nice upgrade lead. Spirit is trying to get +2 attack. MaxPax recalls some of his units, trying to defend his base as there's a counterattack from Kukut. The Stalkers and the recall definitely do help MaxPax hold on to this base, which is very critical. That means that MaxPax isn't here to help his teammates, though. And now we've got DTs coming on out. I believe those were Kukut's DTs, but Spirit, he can drop scans to help his teammates and detect, which is one of the really big strengths of Terrans in these games. Spirit's got lots of ghosts, so he can potentially EMP the High Templar. We've got more DTs being a nuisance. Zealots warp in. There is observers to respond to that, so that DT will be taken out. So they didn't actually amount to too much. MaxPax is blinking around on the map. However, he does get caught. Is he going to recall? No, that's probably on cooldown. So he's just going to have to get on out of there. Blinks the Stalkers, sacrifices the Archon. He may be able to save some of those units, but Lings are nipping at his heels. He's going to need to get to, presumably, his cannons and batteries to save his bacon. And looks like he is going to drop a Psystorm to hold off for now, but there is Kukut coming on in as well, so it's 1v2 for MaxPax right now. That means Geralt and Spirit are going to need to be pushing on the left side, and MaxPax, he is bullied off his base. That's going to be a big blow to his income, as that, I mean, he is on 3 bases at least still, but wow, look at this. Kukut and Eba are pushing on in, and that is quite a nice push. The Ultras are just sort of bulldozers crashing on in. MaxPax going to lose quite a few probes at this base. Archons are morphing on in. Stalkers can try and target down the Ultras, but without any support, this is looking really rough. Geralt is taking a good fight on the left side, it looks like. I think Spirit must have lost most of his army, and MaxPax is just desperately trying to hold on. Archons against Ultras is not the best fight, and MaxPax has taken a big economic blow. So while he's got all these batteries, the Stalkers, the death ball of Kukut, just having a higher number, that critical mass, MaxPax can't respond to it, and his team has left him for dead, so they really need to get some work done. The problem is, it's just bases being killed by Geralt, whereas the main base of MaxPax and Spirit, it's just wrecked. Spirit, what does he have left? He's got, I mean, he's got one one base, or he does have one towards the left, but that is a big blow to all their production and everything. Spirit's coming out with some bio, trying to help respond to this. He lost most of his ghosts, though, so he doesn't really have a good answer to the Ultralisk. A Psystorm goes down. It's going to be okay against the Stalkers. Not so good versus the Ultras, and Spirit's being chased towards the left. He's got to get in there and try and help MaxPax, who's got barely any units left. Meanwhile, Gerald is now on the defensive thanks to more Lings and Ultras, and the movement speed of Eva really is something MaxPax realizing he can't really defend his main base, so he's trying to get counter damage done with that Prism. Spirit is trying to clean everything up. He may lose yet another command center here, and he does, so that is a massive blow. Spirit has one base left, but it's being wrecked by the Lings of Eva with a great counterattack. Gerald isn't responding. He wants to push, but then he also wants to defend, and I'm not sure they got enough damage done as Ultras are coming on in for Eva. It's looking a little bit rough. I mean, MaxPax, Gerald grouping up some of their army. Spirit, though, is very far down on army supply. He does have another command center he can potentially land somewhere. He's actually floating this one back here, as Spirit is mining literally nothing right now, I believe. So what you see is what you get for the Terran army. It's not a terrible army. It's definitely overstimmed, though, so he's got to be careful with that. Gerald is looking to push on in. MaxPax on very low supply. Cuckoo's on low supply. So really, it's Gerald versus Jummy, and maybe Spirit can take on Eva, but I'm not sure because Eva has been constant with his production, with his Ultras. He's now getting out Vipers to help out his army. He's got those monstrous 3-2 Ultralisks. And, I mean, what's MaxPax doing? He's rebuilding his Templar archives, so he must have lost that amidst all the chaos. He's got virtually no income right now. MaxPax has no bases. Spirit's barely mining. He had that massive disruption with having to move his units, and big Psystorms go down from Jummy, getting on top of the army of Gerald. Those Stalkers are very bruised up. More Lings counterattacking. The strength of Zerg. Eva, his clan tag is heroes, and he's really being a hero this game with the counterattacks, just the positioning, the speed of them. He's been doing a great job capitalizing on all the holes. I mean, defending against Ling run-bys in a 1v1 is hard. In a 3v3, when you've got way more bases to defend, you can always find damage as a Zerg, it seems, and Eba's doing a great job of that. Running away, dodging the Psystorms. But then he's got these Ultras too, and like Spirit, he's just barely mining. Where'd that other command center go? It went over here. MaxPax has got some probes that aren't even long distance mining. He's just got no income. Then a DT comes in for Cuckoo. So Cuckoo, he's on a very low economy himself, but he gets some more of those out just to be a nuisance, and every unit matters for this team right now. As Gerald, he's looking to take another fight, blinks forward on the Stalkers of Jummy, but then a blinding cloud comes in from behind to help out. Gerald losing most of his army, and it looks like players are leaving the game, and the blue team takes it. Jummy, Kukut, and Iba, or Eba, I hope I pronounced those names right. If I didn't, I apologize. I'll just have to cast more of you guys. And yeah, big thanks to Wardy, who organized this 3v3 cup where the replay's from. Ladies and gentlemen, if you enjoyed this crazy match, click that like button, leave a comment down below. And if you watched all the way to the end, but you're not a subscriber, go ahead, click that subscribe button. And yeah, big thanks to everyone that does support the channel. Support goes towards things like PC upgrades and stuff, as I did recently get some hardware upgrades to help out because my PC's aging a little bit. But I'll see you guys next time. Thanks so much for tuning in.